The house was silent, too silent for comfort. The baby monitor that usually hummed with tiny breaths had gone still. In the crib, the infant's chest no longer rose or fell. Panic rippled through the air like a storm breaking glass. The mother's heart froze. Her hands trembled. She screamed for her husband, but her voice cracked before it reached him. Every second stretched like an eternity of fear. The father stumbled into the nursery, his world collapsing with each breathless moment. No heartbeat, no sound, only a mother's tears falling like rain. In the corner, their old grey cat lifted its head. It had been part of this family long before the baby was born. It had watched over the crib every night since the first day they brought her home. And now, as if understanding the unspoken tragedy, it leapt down from the window. The cat approached the baby slowly, eyes glowing with something deeper than instinct. What happened next would leave the entire family and doctors speechless. The moon hung cold and pale. Outside the nursery window, a faint ticking clock was the only sound left in the room. The parents stood frozen, unable to breathe, unable to move. Their baby's tiny lips had turned an unnatural shade of blue. The father grabbed his phone to call for help, but the signal flickered. The mother fell to her knees beside the crib, whispering desperate prayers. The air was heavy with grief before the tragedy even began. But in that same stillness, the cat seemed to sense something invisible. It jumped onto the crib, placing its paws beside the baby's chest. Then it began to purr, a deep, rhythmic sound that filled the room. The purr grew louder, echoing like a heartbeat in the silence. It rubbed its head gently against the baby's cheek, refusing to stop. Seconds passed, then a minute, still nothing. Tears streamed down the mother's face as she reached for her child. But the cat blocked her hand, hissing softly, guarding the baby. The father didn't understand. It looked like madness. Yet the cat's eyes burned with purpose, as if it knew something they didn't. And then a small miracle flickered through the air. The baby's fingers twitched. A tiny breath escaped her lips. The mother gasped, hope flooding back into her chest. The cat purred louder, pressing against the baby again. The faintest heartbeat returned, fragile but alive. The room filled with the sound of life again, and the night of stillness turned into a night of wonder. From that night on, the cat refused to leave the baby's room. It slept beside her crib every single night. When she cried, the cat was always the first to appear. When she laughed, it watched proudly from the corner. The parents began calling it the baby's guardian. It would circle the crib 3 times before settling down to sleep. No one taught it this. No one could explain it. The baby, once fragile and weak, began to grow stronger each day. The doctors were astonished. Her recovery was faster than expected, but every time she was sick, the cat seemed to sense it first. It would press its body close, as if lending her its warmth. Sometimes it would meow until someone came running. Other times, it would simply sit and stare. Waiting, neighbors whispered that the cat was blessed, but the parents didn't care what others thought. They knew what they had seen that night. They knew their old cat had saved their child's life. And for that, it became family, more than family. Years passed, yet its loyalty never faded. Even when it grew weaker, its eyes still followed the girl. Its purr still carried peace through the halls. And every night, it waited beside her bed, guarding her dreams, just like before. It was a bright summer morning years later. The little girl Now 5 was playing near the garden. The old cat sat under the porch, basking in sunlight. The air smelled of flowers and warmth, but beneath the beauty, something was about to shift. The girl suddenly stopped playing and clutched her chest. Her breaths grew short, shallow, uneven. Her mother's heart skipped a beat as she ran toward her. History was repeating itself, and too soon. The father shouted for help, his hands trembling. The ambulance was minutes away, but minutes felt like forever. The cat, frail and old, dragged itself toward the child. Its paws shook, but it refused to stop. It climbed onto the girl's lap and began to purr again. The same deep, rhythmic sound as that night years ago. The girl's breathing steadied slightly. The purr filled the air with warmth and hope. By the time help arrived, her heartbeat was back. The doctors were baffled again. The mother looked at the cat. Tears in her eyes. It had done it once more. The same miracle. Twice. The same love beyond understanding. And deep down, they all knew this was no coincidence. At the hospital, the story spread like wildfire. A cat saving a child twice? It sounded impossible. Doctors shook their heads, calling it pure luck. They said maybe the vibrations of purring calmed her. Maybe it was timing. Maybe coincidence. But the mother knew better. She had seen the cat's eyes that night. There was something sacred in them. When science ended, love had begun. Even the nurses whispered in awe. The child slept peacefully. Holding the cat's paw, machines beeped softly, matching the rhythm of its purr. The father stayed silent, watching in disbelief. He didn't care about explanations anymore. All that mattered was his daughter breathing again. He reached out and stroked the cat gently. Its fur felt thinner now, its body weaker, but its spirit stronger than ever. The doctor entered, shaking his head with a smile. "Whatever this cat is doing," he said, "don't stop it." And from that day on, they didn't. The cat was given a small blanket in the child's bed, and, together, they healed, one heartbeat at a time. The girl grew older, and so did the cat. But their connection only deepened. She would whisper secrets into its fur every night. Sometimes she swore the cat understood. It blinked slowly, its eyes soft and knowing. It followed her to school gates, waiting until she returned. On stormy nights it curled beside her, purring her to sleep. It never missed a moment of her laughter or tears. Even when arthritis stiffened its steps, it stayed near. It had become her silent guardian angel. The parents often found them sleeping together, hand and paw intertwined. It was love without words, pure, unbroken. They were two souls connected by something ancient, something stronger than logic, stronger than death. Every birthday, the girl made a wish for it to stay forever, but time, as always, is merciless. The cat began to sleep longer, move slower. The girl didn't want to believe what was coming. She prayed every night for another miracle, but sometimes even miracles must rest. And the day soon arrived when the cat could purr no more. The house fell silent once again, but this time that silence carried peace. The morning light spilled gently across the child's room. She woke up with a smile, expecting to see her friend at her side, but the space beside her pillow was empty. The blanket lay still, untouched. Her heart sank as she called out softly, "Milo!" No answer, just the quiet hum of the window fan. She ran to the hallway, searching every corner. Her parents found the cat curled peacefully beneath the crib, the same crib where it had once saved a life. Its eyes were closed, its body still. But its face carried the calm of a mission complete. The little girl fell to her knees, whispering its name again and again. Her tears stained its fur, as if trying to wake it. The father picked her up, voice trembling. "Sweetheart, he saved you so many times."
"And now he's resting," the girl sobbed, clutching its tiny collar. In her heart,
she felt something unexplainable, a warmth still there. As if his spirit hadn't left, just changed form, the mother whispered through her tears. He never stopped watching over her. That night, the baby monitor blinked softly again, and though the crib was empty, they swore they heard a faint purr, a sound like a promise kept, a love that refused to fade. The cat was gone, but never truly gone, because love, real love,
doesn't end, it transforms. Weeks passed.
But the grief stayed heavy. The little girl placed the cat's collar by her bedside every night. She talked to it as if he could still hear her. Her parents watched quietly, afraid to take that hope away. One night she dreamed she saw him again, standing in a meadow of light, tail flicking in joy. He meowed once, then disappeared into a field of stars. The next morning, something strange happened. When she opened her curtains, a ray of sunlight fell directly on the collar, and in that golden glow,
it shimmered faintly, just for a second. The girl gasped,
smiling through her tears. "Milo's still with me," she whispered. Her mother froze, feeling goosebumps rise along her arms, because at that exact moment, a faint purr echoed from the hallway. No wind, no sound, no explanation, just peace. It became a small family ritual from then on. Every time the sun hit that collar, they smiled. It was their daily hello from heaven, a reminder that the
ones we love never really leave us. They live in the moments we can't explain, in the signs.
Too gentle for science to measure, and in the silences, too sacred for words to fill. Love had crossed
even the stars to stay with them.
Crossed
even the stars to stay with them.
Years passed, and the little girl grew strong and kind. Her bond with her lost friend shaped her heart forever. She began volunteering at animal shelters as a teenager. People noticed something special about
her. Animals that refused to eat began eating.
When she sat near, wounded strays calmed under her.
Touch or even scared kittens
came out to meet her eyes. The caretakers whispered that she had a gift, but she knew it wasn't magic, just love passed on, the same love Milo had shown her years ago. One day, she found a kitten trembling behind a trash bin. It looked sick and frail, just like she once was. She wrapped it in her scarf and whispered softly, "You're safe." That kitten survived against all odds. Doctors said it shouldn't have, but she smiled knowingly. "Milo helped me once," she said, "and now I help others." From then, she made it her mission. Every animal she saved felt like a thank you to her old friend. She opened a rescue home called Milo's Promise, and on its wall hung one picture, her as a baby,
and the cat who saved her life. The world called her compassionate, but she knew she was simply continuing what love had begun. A legacy of miracles born from a purr. One stormy evening,
the shelter lost power. A mother rushed in, holding a tiny kitten not breathing. The girl froze. It was the same scene from her childhood. Thunder rolled outside as she placed the kitten on a blanket. Her hands trembled, memories flooding back. She remembered her old cat's rhythm, the heartbeat in his purr. Without thinking, she began humming the same steady sound, low, calm, constant. Minutes passed. Nothing. Then a twitch, a gasp, a flicker of life. The kitten breathed again. Everyone stood silent.
Tears in their eyes, the girl laughed softly through her crying. "It wasn't me," she whispered.
It was him. Outside, lightning flashed, and for a split second, she swore she saw a cat's shadow on the wall. The same gentle posture, the same calm eyes, the same love that had saved her once before. The kitten meowed weakly, alive again, and she smiled,
realizing that miracles never die. They pass from one heart to another, from one life to the next, from a purr that saved a baby
to a woman now saving the world. The circle had completed itself. Years later, she stood at the shelter's gate as the sun set. Children played with kittens while their laughter filled the air. She looked up at the sky, golden, soft, endless, and whispered, "We did it, Milo. Every rescued life was a tribute, every heartbeat a thank you." She had grown from the baby who almost died into a woman who helped others live. People came from miles away to meet her, to hear the story of the miracle cat. But she never claimed credit.
She always pointed upward. "Some angels walk on four paws," she'd say. At night,
She still heard a faint purr in her dreams, a sound that felt like home. She kept the old collar on her desk, shining softly in candlelight. It reminded her that love once saved her breath, and now it kept her soul alive. Generations would hear the story of the cat who saved a baby, and they would believe,
even for a moment,
that love is magic because maybe, just maybe, it is. As the lights dimmed and the stars came out, she smiled. Her journey had begun with one heartbeat and one miracle. And though Milo was gone, his spirit whispered one last time, "Keep loving, little one. That's how miracles never end." Love is the quiet miracle that heals what medicine can't. It crosses lifetimes, species, and even the edge of death, and sometimes the purest guardian angels don't fly. They purr,